Welcome once again to Daily Life Connection. Thanks for joining us. We're continuing to explore the heart of God, as is revealed to us in 2 Samuel chapter 9, the story of Mephibosheth. In that story, David learns that Mephibosheth is living in a place called LoDeBar. It literally means a place of no pasture. It meant a place where there was nothing productive coming from it. It was a place where life was hard. There was no pasture there for the cattle to graze in or the sheep. So they couldn't have farms there. The land was so that it wouldn't produce crops well. They were dependent on others for all of their life-sustaining food and materials. They didn't have the ability to produce enough for themselves to sustain their life. LoDeBar, it was just a miserable place. It was a place of, like I said, of no productivity. It was a hard place to survive. It was a hard place to live. It's even for those that weren't lame. There was no pasture land there. It was barren. It was desert. It was rocky. It was, just an unproductive place. And the reality is that's our world many times for us, isn't it? It's just tough a place to live in, even for those who have it all together. And then there's those of us who've been dropped, which is really all of us in many ways. And it's so hard to cope, and that we feel like we're living in LoDeBar. We're living in a place way below our privilege. We're living in an unproductive place. Our lives are not as significant or productive or meaningful as we thought they would be. And oftentimes it's that lameness, it's that whatever it is that has crippled us that makes it even more difficult. And we can feel like I'm here in LoDeBar, I'm here in this unproductive place in my life because of my weaknesses, because of things that have happened to me or circumstances or people or whatever it may have been. And it affects our ability emotionally, relationally, socially, vocationally. It just can affect so many areas of our lives that it feels like a place of LoDeBar, a place of despair, a place of discouragement, a place where it just feels like no matter how hard you try, you're not getting ahead there. The reality is, as we'll see in this story, that is not God's heart for you and I. That is not his heart for you and I. In fact, as far as God is concerned, our condition, our brokenness, our woundedness, our torn apartness, whatever it may be, our weakness in our lives, God does not intend for those to limit us to live unproductive lives. In fact, it's interesting in Psalm 103, verse 14, I think it is. It says, he knows our weakness. He remembers that we're but dust. And it's in that great chapter that talks about, bless the Lord, O my soul, forget not all his benefits. And it talks about all the benefits of God. And he said, those are yours in spite of your weakness, in spite of your lameness, in spite of what has hurt or wounded or broken you in some way. So I just really want to encourage our hearts today with this thought that God's heart for us, his intention for us, is not that we should live in a place of LoDeBar, a place of unproductiveness, a place of struggle to just cope and get by. That is not his heart for us. As we will see in this story, it's David's heart, which is a reflection of Jesus, to get us out of there and to get us into a place of blessing and plenty and significance. And he says, your lameness isn't what's going to determine that. It's David's heart that will determine how Mephibosheth lives, not his crippled feet that will determine his future. He's aware of our condition. He's aware of how we have ended up in life or where we have ended up in life. And as far as he's concerned, those are not factors that in any way limit us. They are certainly not because he wants us to live there. I think sometimes people feel like, well, my life is unproductive, or I'm struggling emotionally or physically or socially or vocationally, and it's probably because God can't bless me because I have these weaknesses. Stop that. That's not the heart of God. David shows the heart of God, and it's to get people out of LoDeBar, even with their crippled feet, even with their woundedness, brokenness, lameness, weakness. Those are not the factors that he's not putting us there because he wants us there. We have accepted our living like that because of our brokenness oftentimes. But that's not the heart of God for us. His heart is to get us out of LoDeBar. Good news. Let's think about it. We'll talk again tomorrow.